Hey, what's up, everybody? Tonight is going to save somebody months, maybe even years of frustration. All right. So tonight we're breaking down why your search, why you're studying, and your hard work still hasn't gotten you a role in the cloud. All right. And I'm going to talk about the one shift that is going to change everything for you. All right. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Broadus Palmer. I am cloud career coach and founder of Level Up in Tech, where we help mid-career professionals transition into cloud and AI engineering by learning how to solve problems as a cloud and AI engineer. I personally went from 42K working at BB&T, which is now Truist, to working in the tech and making almost $2 million a year. All right. So for you, if you feel like you've been applying and you hear nothing, if you feel like you've been doing everything right, but nothing is moving, this live stream is for you. All right. And let me tell you why it's going to matter for you. Last week, somebody messaged me and they had 4 certifications and they had been studying for almost 2 years and they still didn't even feel closer to landing the cloud role. And they said, bro, it's like, I just be feeling like I'm just running in circles. I'm just moving and moving and moving and moving and moving. But I'm not moving, right? I'm working so hard. I'm doing the things I need to do, but I'm not moving. And if you ever felt like that, stay right here, all right? But first, y'all know what I do at these lives. I got to make sure everyone can see and hear me well. Put the LUs in the chat if you can see and hear me. I want to make sure everyone get these gems that I'm going to drop tonight. Get your notepads ready and put it to action. Nothing that you learn would do you any justice or do you any good if you don't put it into action. Okay? So with that being said, most people think the reason they're not landing a cloud role is because they say, I need another cert. They say, I'm not technical enough. They say, I need to learn this first. I need to learn that second, right? And those are not really the blockers, all right? The real issue is you've been learning cloud. You've been doing your thing, but you haven't been building the real value that is needed. So, what you mean? So, there's a huge difference between someone who knows cloud concepts, right? And someone who can solve cloud problems. So, you're going to get paid for the second one. You're going to get paid to solve the problem of the company that needs you to solve problems. Everybody that's hiring right now on LinkedIn has a problem. The role that is open is the problem they need you to solve, right? We go in, and I'll say this, we go into it with the wrong mindset. We go into it with, I just hope, I just want to impress them. Yes, we should be ready to impress our clients, right? But we should also understand that they have a problem that needs to be solved. And if we come in there solving the problem, we have the problem of not solving the problem. Does it make sense? We tracking? Give me an LU if we tracking right now. I just want to make sure. All right. So here's the story. I talked to a guy, and I talked to a lot of people on LinkedIn and TikTok, etc. So I talked to a guy who could explain what BPCs are, he could explain IAM, he could explain EC2, explain load balancers. He clean, sharp fella. But when I said, show me a problem, show me your portfolio, show me the problems that you solve, he went silent. Like crickets, right? Because here he is, he could explain the textbook thing, right? But he couldn't show me anything that he saw. And that's the thing, right? Where we know what this thing does, but you don't get paid for that. You don't get paid to know what it does most of the time. You get paid as an engineer, you get paid to know and understand what to do when it doesn't do what it's supposed to do, or it doesn't do what it does, right? And when I talk to him about show me your portfolio, show me what you saw, instantly he just thought he wasn't smart enough. And it wasn't because he wasn't smart. Like, we got some sharp folks that are out here that can explain some things, right? You know what you know, but you also don't know what you don't know, all right? And it's because nobody's ever told him what actually matters, right? So raise your hand in the chat if you felt all that actually mattered was you learning the material, how many courses you stacked up in your certifications, and you possibly just doing some basic labs, and you thought that was enough to land your job. Raise your hand. Just put your hand up, because I was one of them, right? I was one of them, and I see hundreds of you online every single day. I get so many people in my inbox that says, "Brothers, I just passed my AWS Solution Architect. I'm going to apply for a solution architect job." And the first thing I say to them is, do you understand what the delivery process looks like if you're a solution architect, where you're in the delivery, or you may be in a pre-sales cycle? Do you understand what that looks like? Right? Do you understand, when you're going through a deal, how you could design a solution and bringing in, statements of work and all of that good stuff, and closing the deal, and then working with the engineers to deliver? No, because the certifications don't teach you none of that. You see what I'm saying? It doesn't teach you any of that. Thank you. I see somebody post their hands up. Yeah, I was one of them. That was me. You see what I'm saying? So nobody showed him what actually mattered. And when I told him about, when I asked him about his portfolio and said, show me how you solve problems, that's the moment I knew everything changed for him, because that's the moment everything changed for me. When I got into 2017, that's when my journey started. And I was hustling hard. I was trying to get into this industry. I was like, how can I do this? How can I do this? And somebody was like, hey, get certified, get certification, you get the job. I was like, oh, snap. And my mindset is, okay, well, you know what? While everybody's focused on getting one certification, let me get 3 certifications. Let me get all 3 associates, because I've seen people was like, hey, I got my solutions architect, or I got my developer. This is AWS associate certifications. And they was like, let me, I'm gonna apply for a job. And I was like, well, if they're applying for a job with 1 certification, let me go ahead and get 3 of them. Let me get all 3 associate level certifications. And that's exactly what I did. I got them all. I got all 3 of them in less than 104 days. Knocking them out. Boom, pew, boom, out of there. Like, you pop bottles back in the day, we pop bottles and they go, boom. I was knocking them out. All right. And they were shiny objects. They were shiny objects that made me look even better than what I actually was on paper. So some of you right now are in a situation where you might have several certifications. That's going to make you look great. But what happened with me is, when I got called into the interview and I got grilled on certain things of how the company wanted me to solve problems, I realized there was huge holes, huge gaps that I just couldn't fill. And it made me feel like I wasn't smart enough. But luckily, I was on a thinking process of that. It made me change. It made me realize like, hey, I need to be solving the problems that they're looking for. Certifications don't solve their problems, right? The certifications just teach me the foundations of whatever that is, right? If I'm studying the developer certification, the certifications teach me the tools and services that developers use on that platform. It doesn't teach me how to be a developer. And when I realized that, I understood that it wasn't an education that was going to get me hired. It was going to be the results. You see what I'm saying? And for you, I just want you to understand the results don't come from watching videos, passing the certs, memorizing test answers, memorizing best practices or whatever, and following basic quick start tutorials. That's a foundation you can build on, right? But the results, the problem solving, the problems that you solve for the business, that's not enough. And we think that's enough. We pass a cert, we watch a few courses, Stefan Merrick or, Toya's JoJo, whatever, right? We watch these courses. We go to YouTube, watch these courses. We pass these certs. We do a basic S3. Well, I just did my cloud resume challenge. Now I can look for a job. Nothing wrong with the cloud resume challenge because it's a foundation to help you understand, right, how CI/CD pipelines work, how serverless work, etc. However, does that align with the job that you're trying to get? Because you got to understand that may not be enough. And for some people, hearing that means it's deflating because they don't want to go any further. They thought that's all they had to do. Well, I'm just going to tell you that you must don't want it, because this is a consistent and constant learning journey. All right. And results only come from one thing. Every day or consistently, you have to solve small, real cloud problems and document your process. What do you say? What do you say, bro? What do you say? You have to consistently solve small, real cloud problems and document your process, because those small cloud problems build up to major cloud problems you can solve. Why do you say that? Why do you say that? Well, I say that because most people have the knowledge. The tech can be learned. Like anybody can watch a course, anybody can pass a cert, right? But a lot of people don't have the results. A lot of people don't have the evidence. You see what I'm saying? Like they don't have the you can build something, but like what is the evidence of what this thing solve? Like somebody can sit here and follow a tutorial of how to deploy a 2-node Kubernetes cluster all day. But then when they get asked about what is Kubernetes and how does Kubernetes solve problems, I don't know. That's the issue. We can't translate our ability, what we do with our hands. We can't translate it through our thinking and how we can help the company solve problems, because tech is more than doing, right? We're not order takers, right? Right now, they want you to come in to be consultants. And when I say consultants, like, how do you solve problems? And when you're talking to a customer and they're giving you something they're trying to accomplish, what is your thought process in helping them? That's what they want, right? So most of you have the knowledge, but a lot of you don't have the evidence. So once again, I once asked someone, I was like, what's the last cloud problem you solved? I asked them, what's the last cloud problem you solved? They said, I watched somebody solve one on YouTube. They said, I watched somebody solve one on YouTube. And I was like, okay, like that's the trap. That's the trap for a lot of us, right? Because consumption of the YouTube channels, consumption of the Pluralsight videos, consumption of whatever platform you're using feels like progress. And a lot of cases it is. I mean, because small steps are better than no steps, right? The foundational steps that you're building are progress. But we're talking about the thing that's going to get you hired, right? We say that's the thing that we want, right? But we have to, Myron Golden is a guy that I watch a lot, and Myron Golden, delivers these three foundational principles from the Bible. It's be, do, have. So that means be the person that will become the person that does the things to have what you want. And a lot of us want to do the bare minimum to have what is required a lot from us, right? We want a six-figure salary, but we want to become a $30,000 person when it comes to knowledge, comes to, consistent behavior, right? Until you realize, so consumption feels like progress, but until you realize it doesn't really build the confidence or competence or the results that you want, then it ain't gonna hit different for you. And he came back because I gave him some things he needed to do. And he came back and, I gave him, a problem to solve. Just kind of told him what I'm thinking and this is what you should do. And this is how you should act. And he came back and he solved like some S3 permissions and an issue where it was, a basic foundational thing, but it forced him to solve problems like, why is this bucket not being able to be accessed? And why my static website is not, working, etc. And he messaged me and he was like, yo, I'm feeling like an engineer. Yeah, because even though the foundational problems he was solving was foundational and basic level, he still had to think about how to solve the problem. He wasn't using any tutorials to do it, right? He's thinking using AI to expedite his workflow, right? And now these are experiences that he would never forget. Put your hands up right now. How many of you out there right now are focused on solving problems, not just building follow me projects? Put your hands up. Who's out there focused on solving problems? And just know, right? If you put your hand up, I'm gonna check your LinkedIn. I was just playing. You know what I'm saying? So somebody said, how do you create proof of applied ability based on what you learn? So you can easily use AI to create a scenario, right? So if you're learning something about Kubernetes, let's go deeper and say, okay, well, hey, I want to work for ABC company, right? And this is what ABC company does, right? From what I'm researching. Or you can tell OpenAI to say, tell me a little bit more about ABC company, right? Follow me here. I want to know more about ABC company and what do they do? And it will pull it up. You can say, I'm learning more about this subject. How does ABC company, or how would ABC company use this particular service to solve problems in their organization? And ChatGPT is going to give you scenarios, right? You can even start with, build me a project that helps me understand how they solve problems. And now you're building a project that's directly correlated to what ABC company is actually doing. And then you can tell ChatGPT, give me a project where, I can simulate something that's broken and allow me to fix it. It's right here in front of you. Everything is right here in front of you, right? We just got to understand the right questions to ask and to be thinking a certain way. You want to look at any problem you can solve and bang your head against the wall and try to solve it, because in the end, right, you will be able to flex that experience muscle and say, no, it didn't work that way. So when I did it, this is exactly what happened with me, and this is what I did to solve it. That is experience. That exposure equals experience. So you want to expose yourself to any type of problem-solving abilities you can that solves problems for ABC company. And yes, you can use the job descriptions to do that. The job descriptions are actually the cheat code for you. It literally tells you the problem they need you to solve. And they literally tell you the tools that they're using to try to solve their problems. But here's the thing. While they give you a list of things that they want you to have experience with to solve their problems. I'm going to challenge you to find new things to solve the problem. So if you do get the interview, not only you're talking about the things that hit on the head with them, you're talking about the new things that you discovered that can expedite in solving the problem. Think about that. If you found a tool that it's always been there, but you just figured out a way to do whatever, right? Save cost, save money, build infrastructure quicker, monitor in a better way, right? Automate the workflow that we do, document even better, whatever the case may be. You're thinking outside of the box. All right. So let me take these questions. How about combing search with real world projects and problem solving cloud solutions? And when you say combing search, like just doing the search, yeah. So if you're working on a certain cert, and let's say you're in a certain module of that cert, right? Because these certs have domains that you have to pass, right? So if you go to solutions architect, you will see domain 1, 1.2, 1.3, whatever the case may be. And it will tell you the things you need to understand in order to pass the cert. At the end of each module, when you learn about certain things, do a project. But do a project that solves a real problem, right? Don't just do I did my static site. And that static site is foundational. What I'm saying is you can't do a static site project and then think you're going to apply to that job, right? The static site is the foundation of it. Build on it, right? Right? What does that look like to, add WAF? What does that look like to add CloudFront? What does that look like to add cores? All of that good stuff. Right. So we have to think outside the box here. All right. So when he finally started doing that, right, he said he started feeling like an engineer. Like, I really feel like an engineer. And that was, even though it was small, right, even though it was something foundational, think about what it does inside of you now that you get it. That light bulb goes out. Right? Or goes off, excuse me, not goes out. We don't want to go out. It goes off, right? So think about that. Now you're on fire, you're motivated, all right? So here's a simple framework that actually can help you move your career, all right? Just solve one real cloud problem per week. I'm not talking about a lab. I'm talking about a project that solves real issues like, bucket problems, access problems with buckets, missing policies with IAM, state drift with Terraform, and they may have come out with some new components with Terraform that mitigates that. So that's something you can research. You can access your web server on your server, EC2 virtual machine or Google Compute. Security group blocking traffic, a RAG model hallucinating if you're building agents, etc. Right? Just think outside the box. Some of these things are going to be. What's what I'm looking for? Some of these things are going to be daunting, for lack of a better word, right? It's going to be really heavy, like, I don't want to do this. But that's the thing that's forging you to become the engineer. You see what I'm saying? Like, I have a lot of students that fix a broken S3 static site. Super simple. But that one fix gives them more confidence than 3 months of just studying and looking at tutorials and looking at videos. A lot of them say, like, I didn't even realize, this small thing and this small win would change everything. All right. So that's number one, solve one real cloud problem per week. Now, number two, what you think number two is going to be? If I'm getting you to solve these problems, in order to have the proof that you solved the problems, in order to have the proof that you got the result, we have to document our solutions. And we got to do it publicly, because publicly hold us accountable for what we say we're going to do, but also it markets us. And if you know me, if you've been following me, you've been looking at my lives, you've been looking at any videos, You understand that I say you're not an employee looking for a job. You are a business looking to sell your services to the best client. And as many businesses, right, they spend all their money on their product and their solution, but they don't spend $1 on marketing. And if you don't market yourself, who is going to find you? So we're documenting our solutions publicly. One problem equals one LinkedIn post, one GitHub README, one diagram, and one here's what I fixed write-up. So one of our students did solved the Terraform backend issue. So they documented it, and just from the documentation, right, a hiring manager saw it and commented like, "This is exactly how my team operates." And it's funny because we can tell them all day until somebody else, like a hiring manager, says, "Yo, this is exactly what they do." That's when they light up. And that comment put her on the map instantly because now she knew exactly what she was supposed to do. And she was like, "Oh, so I'm doing the right thing. So guess what? All I need to do is more of it." I'm doing the right thing. All I need to do is more. That's it. Consistent behavior. Okay, let's look at some of these questions right here. Somebody said, I think this is a little long. "I cannot emphasize enough how important it is to demonstrate competence using AI to solve problems. I was at Ignite last week." I know who this is. What up, Big Joe? And there was a ton of buzz around the need for candidates to demonstrate the ability to use AI to augment their skills and achieve efficiencies. Broadest, you are spot on with the using AI like ChatGPT to help train off this AI augmentation to create things like scripts, to break your instance and have it teach you how to troubleshoot. Absolutely. We got to listen, this AI is here to help boost us. It ain't here to take our jobs. It's here to help us create more efficiencies in our workflow, be better and learning smarter and faster. Think about it. The things that it takes somebody, let's say you got a senior engineer that says, "Hey man, it took me 7 years to get here." With AI, you could be a senior engineer in 2 years. Well, brothers, they said 5 to 7 years means you are here to learn faster and be smarter. You are exposed to more information than ever in history. There is no reason why your career can't go to the next level with all the information that we have right now. You see what I'm saying? Look at Kendra. Kendra said, "Malik, you can reach out to recruiters. Look at companies who are hiring for positions who want to reach out, explaining your experience and why you're best fit for the role." So this is what I would say. If there's a company that you want, and I gave somebody this gym the other day, if there's a company that you want to work for, start documenting your process publicly, right? So do the things I told you. One problem equals one LinkedIn post, one GitHub README, one diagram, and one here's what I fixed write-up. You're going to solve one of the problems that aligns with the role that you want at the company, the ABC company, right? And if there's a hiring manager or recruiter that you really want to connect with, guess what? Tag them in the post. At the end of you talking about your post, you can tag and say, if it's a hiring manager or technical lead or whatever, you can say, tag them in the comments or whatever and say, "Hey, is this or are these some of the problems that you're solving at ABC company? I would love to know and talk more about that. Give me your feedback." Hey, they may not respond, but guess what? It may impress them so much that they do. And if they do, think about how your life could change just from that moment. I'll sit back and let you think about it. Think about that. Think about how your life can change just from them commenting back. And now you have established a connection, not even through, "Hey, look at me," just through you solving the right problems. You understand me? You understand me? How do you create daily affirmations for your cloud career growth? Well, it's easy. Look in the mirror and say the positive things, right? Because we're trying to see the thing that, and I'm glad you brought this up, Malik, because the thing that you got to understand is you got to shift your mindset before you can even do any of this. You got to think that and you got to know that you can do it. So even if it's looking in the mirror every day, I am successful. I'm a cloud engineer. I am going to finish my projects today. I'm taking every step every day that's closer to my dreams. I will land this type of role. Or guess what? Write it down. Pen pad, write it down, and then speak it into your life. Because what you say is powerful. Because what you say is how you feel. And the more of what you say is the more what you believe. If you keep telling yourself you can't do it, oh, this is too hard for me. Because listen, I talked to somebody today who told me it's just too hard. They don't think they can do it. They stuck. They've been in the world for 20 years, etc. That's what they believe. And until they change that mindset, it's nothing, no coach, nothing can do for them. They have to change their mindset. You see what I'm saying? So let me get to step number 3 first, right? So we have step number 1, solve a small cloud problem a week. Number 2, document your process. Number 3, turn every fix into a story an interviewer understands, right? What was broken, what you diagnosed, how you fixed it, and what you learned, right? So just like a lot of our students, someone documented an EC2 connectivity issue. So this, more of a foundational cert until they build on it. Foundational project until they build on it. But that became the best interview story because if you have the proof that you can get the result, when you apply to a job and you get into an interview, the proof could be the conversation. And that's what happened with them. They didn't even need the complex projects that they had in their portfolio. It was the simple things that they did that really showed that they can solve the problems that the company cared about. And they just needed their story. They didn't need a story, or they didn't even make up anything. They just needed their story of what they did. If you document and you share it and you have a portfolio of your documentation, when you get asked about these things, guess what? It's easy for you to talk about because you've done it. You've done it, right? So let me see. But are we just creating scenarios sometimes when you say we're solving a problem, but what if we don't work for a company? What's that look like? Exposure equals experience. See, this is the thing. This is the mindset right here, right? And I understand you don't know what you don't know. So I'm going to make it clear for you. While you think the things that you create as far as scenarios are foundation and it's nothing like working in the real world, to be honest, a lot of times the things that you put yourself through by yourself, if you really focus on solving those problems, even working with AI to do it, are sometimes more difficult than the things you're going to solve at work. And sometimes when you get into a job, you're going to have so many reps that you're going to have peers that's been in that role for a couple of years, and they're going to look at you and say, hold on, so you know how to do that? Yeah, I've been doing that for the last 6 months. Like, bro, I haven't even worked with that yet. So then who has the most experience? You see what I'm saying? We got to stop thinking, not saying how you thinking is keeping you from moving forward. What I'm saying is think no matter what you do in a project and solving problems, small or big, it is enough for you to gain that experience to talk about. And sometimes you're going to learn more on the job, right? So you may be only solving small problems by yourself, and you'll solve bigger ones when you get into the job. But that's what it's about. That's what the experience is about. You get into a job and just getting more experience, working with your team, getting led by mentors. So don't let this, is this scenario enough, to work in the real? Yeah, it is. If you're solving problems, it's enough. Those are the things that they're solving in the real world, period. Let's see what we got. How many projects suffice before one can start applying for jobs? And what kind of projects should these be? See, you ain't following along. I already told you the type of projects should be. If you're looking at the job descriptions, it's going to tell you the type of projects you should be working on, right? How many? I would say if you got 5 to 7 projects that directly align with the problems that particular role or that company solves, I think you have enough. But I mean, why stop there, right? The goal is to continue to learn to be the best you can be. just divorce the outcome and just focus on getting better every day. Right. So if you do get called back for the interview, your mind is always on that. I'm going to get better. All right. So let's get this off here real quick. Sorry. All right. So I've gave you the gems, right? I'm giving you an understanding of what you need to do. I'm giving you an understanding of why your search, your studying, and your hard work is still not paying off and what you need to do. It doesn't work if you don't take action. You can ask all the questions you want. You see what I'm saying? You can ask all the questions you want. It doesn't matter, because if you're not going to take the answers and you're not going to put it to work, you're not going to build the results, we'll still be back here asking the same questions, right? So before we wrap up, right, if you want clarity on where you stand, if you want to stop guessing, like, and know like your alignment, your gaps, your skills, you know, your projects, or even like the direction you should take, I'm going to put this in here, right? I can't even post a comment. All right, so here we go. I got a quiz that allows you to focus on a role that is good for you, right? You'll put in the things that you like to do, things that you're interested in, and it maps you to a role that best fits you in cloud engineering, right? So from security to consultant, etc. Go to cloudcareerquiz.com, take the quiz. Make sure you share it publicly or you come back to this live event and post what you got. Because I'm curious, right? It'll tell you exactly what role you're aligned for. It tells you the skills you need, so you can understand like what you can build next, right? It tells you how much you can make in that type of role, right? So even just last night, someone took it and DM'd me. He was like, "This is the first time I actually known what to do next. This is the first time I actually know like what I was good at. I thought I was, this is what I'll be a fit for. And I took the quiz 3 times and I got the same thing." Right? So you don't get paid for knowing cloud. You get paid for solving problems. Okay? You will never feel like an engineer until you solve one problem. Your first problem. You don't need to be perfect. Right? You just need a starting point. And tonight can be your starting point. Take the quiz, start solving, start documenting, start building results. Okay? What do you say, brothers? What do you say? Take the quiz, start solving, start documenting, start building results. Okay? Until the next live, I want to see the results of everyone that's been on here that's taking action. Okay? So, you know how it goes. Love you. See you next week. All right? Let's continue to level up. See ya.